Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Today we are going to be painting and penciling the Loveable lab. And I am just going to bring this down so you can see it better. I'm Erika Joanne from Erika Joanne Art, and this is a book that my daughter drew, and I am colorizing it. So we'll be working on a page. Every time I'm on, we'll be working on something from the dog book, with the exception of a few little inserts. We'll be doing a Valentine project for Valentine's week. So just subscribe to our email and you'll be able to get the schedule from our email, which I'll send out every week so you can be updated. But welcome, welcome. From our email, which I'll send out every week. Okay, I'm just going to turn this off there. All right. Let's see if we have anyone on. We are live. Again. Okay. Hello. Okay, we've got Kim and Charmaine. All right. Okay, so just to kind of give you a idea of what this little book looks like, I'm going to bring this down a little more. So the packaging looks like this, and you get a full book in here. It has 24 pages and 12 projects. So that each project is done twice. So you get 2 pages of each project, and then it equals 24 pages altogether. And then it's all done on quality watercolor paper. Well, can't say it. Watercolor paper, which makes it nice for mixed media. You can use all different kinds of media on it: pens, watercolor paint, pencils. If you like to do watercolor pencils, you can use those. And then we also have a little ornament included that you can personalize and make it your own with a small easel. And the back of your book also includes a little panel. Let me show you on another book here. Oh, I don't see it here. Let's see. Nope. Well, it includes a little tearaway panel that you can see right there. I'll just pull it out here for you to see. So this little panel, you can tear it away and snap it off, and you can glue your piece to it. So you can glue one of these pieces of watercolor paper to your wood panel, and then also on the other side too, if you want to make use of both sides of your wood panel. So I'm just getting back into the swing of things with the new year and being on YouTube, trying to make a regular showing on YouTube every week. And it's been kind of exciting to plan this, and hopefully we'll have content that will be fun for you. But if you're here for the first time, don't know about me, you can go ahead and subscribe to our channel if you like what you see. We're going to try and be on every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific. And if you subscribe to our email, you'll get updates on what we'll be doing each week. And we'll just be doing small little projects, something that you can do quickly within like an hour, hour and a half, and make it fun for you so that you can kind of get a feeling for what we do. We do mixed media. We do all kinds of fun projects with mixed media. And this is just a taster session. So you're getting a taste of what we do. We also have lots of teachers that work with us, and they teach around the country too. So they're all listed on our website if you're interested in their classes. They're fun to do because you get a little more personalized attention. A lot of them work with Zoom, so you can talk to them and see them online. It's great. Right. Just to kind of give you an idea of what we've done so far, we've done this little guy. Last week, we did the front cover. of our Pups and Portraits book. And this is a fun guy. And we got it all glued on. I told you last week that we'd get it glued on. And then this week we'd do some of the sanding of our project. So I'm going to show you how to sand off the edges. This does have a little bit of a lip. You can kind of see from the other side. There's a little bit of a lip on some sides that we want to sand down. And then you can glue other embellishments on it, or you can go ahead and like paint the edges of your block and the back of your block with whatever color suits your fancy and make it personal to you. I'm going to also use the other side of my block to glue another piece to it so that I can make use of both sides. All right, so we have these little edge sander kits that you can purchase from us for $4.95, and it has a really coarse sander. Now, this coarse sander is really good for the heavyweight watercolor paper that we use. We use 140-pound watercolor paper, and it's pretty heavy. So it's kind of hard to sand through if you're just using a fine sander. So this is a really nice coarse sander that's included in here, and then you get a finer sander to finish it off. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate that for you right now from last week's project. But before we do that, I'm going to just go look at the chat and see if there's anyone on. Hi, Robin from Georgia, and Jackie from Cold North, Georgia. No power since Saturday. Oh gosh, Jackie, that's a long time. And Robin says she missed last week. I didn't put it in her phone. Oh, shoot. Yeah, you have to go in and watch it. It is on our YouTube channel, so you can go check it out. Yes, it's cold on the other side of the country for a lot of you. I hope you're staying warm. My goodness. And then taking care of yourself, especially if you have power that's been out. Yikes. That's no fun. Okay, you can see I have a little lip there. I want to take that off. The one key thing about taking watercolor paper, this little lip off, is you want to make sure that your glue is nice and dry and set. Because if you do this before your glue is dry, then you're going to rip and tear at your paper and then possibly cause some damage to the front. And we don't want to see you do that, right? You work so hard on this, you don't want to ruin it. So I'm just going to take this coarse sander, kind of gently go across that, and you'll see that it's starting to take up off some of that lip there. And I'm working at an angle. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of like this. That's the angle I'm working at. Okay, so you can see how that nicely took that off. And so it's now flush with my wood piece. That looks so nice. All right. The next thing you would do is take the finer sander and just go back and forth on your wood, take off any of those scratches that were caused by the original coarse sanding disc. And then you can kind of, like I go at an angle on my watercolor paper to just do kind of like a fine tune of sanding to get it nice and flush. Then you can also go around on your block and just, do some nice sanding there. So that's all ready for paint. I'm going to just brush this all this dust that's accumulated on there. So you can see how nice that looks. It's so good. So I'm going to go around and do all edges just to make sure we got all the lip of watercolor paper removed. Even if you don't really have a lip, it's nice to kind of just sand it down to get a little more flush with your wood piece. Also, you can get an accumulation of glue right here, and I can feel it. I can feel the glue edge there. So I want to kind of work on that a little harder. Don't be afraid to use a little pressure. And yes, you will get scratches on the edges. You see some of those scratches. And that's why I don't paint at first. I always paint at last because of those scratches that you can get. I'm almost done. You can tell when you're done when all the little raggedy edges go away. And you kind of see that glue coming off. Okay. The glue kind of starts peeling off there. Okay, back with my my finer sander. Okay, that's nice and flush. So I'm going to go all the way around today just so I can show you what it looks like when it's all done. Heck, why not? I'm just sitting here. Our weather in Western Washington today is partially cloudy. It's cold out there. My husband and I took a nice walk today, and I'm still a little tired from that walk. Oh, my feet are tired. Okay. Do that fine-tune sanding. Move it around. One more edge. These little touches of sanding really do help with kind of the look of the overall piece. It's nice to just take a few moments. I mean, this takes me like, 10 minutes maybe to do this, maybe 5, but it's worth the effort. Okay, my fine-tune sanding. Now we have already varnished the front, and we've also put on the fast drying glaze medium, so we have some barrier coats there. So everything's going to be good. I'm going to dust off all that extra wood dust, get all that off, and let's get it off of our surface here too. You don't want to breathe this stuff. And clean up your area. Okay. All right. Well, he's looking fine and dandy. I love it. So it's ready for me to choose a color or not. Like maybe you want to just keep it plain. Some people like that, just to keep it that, this is kind of a nice color of wood. You could leave it plain, or you could go in and color it with something. Maybe even do a pattern on the edge. So a lot of times in our groups, our little whimsy group that we have, so a lot of times we'll use stencils and put stencils down and decorate the edges with stencils. And that's always fun to do too. So that's how our little golden goodness guy came out from last week. So if you missed this video, the how-to video, step-by-step video is on our YouTube channel. You can just look it up. You'll find it there. If you don't see it like on the main page, look under the live tab and it would be there. So, okay, we'll move this aside. Let me see if anyone else is on. Oh, Brenda. Hello, Brenda. So today we're going to do this little guy. Isn't he cute? He's a little, all these pictures were taken from dogs that are in the shelter. And this is a shelter that my daughter works at. And most of them are mixes. So they're, like a mix. So this is a lab mix that she took a picture of and did. So we're going to pull this out of our book, and you'll notice you do have 2 of these watercolor paper designs, you have this two of the same. So you could keep one in and make it like a little scrapbook, or you could take one out, or you could take them both out. You can decide what you want to do with this guy. But basically, if you want to take them out, just fold that little perforation and then you can rip it right out. It comes out pretty easily. Okay, let's zoom you in a little more. Right there. Okay. All right. So this guy, the original dog was, let me bring it up on my phone here. She sent me a picture. Let's see here. I'm looking him up. He's kind of a golden color. So, you know, we could go with that same. It's kind of a golden, like yellowish color. He's cute. I've thought about even doing a black or even a brown lab, you know, I thought of that. He's more of a lighter brown, like a golden color. But again, he's a mix, so I think we'll just go with that. Okay. So let's start out with our brown earth. I'm gonna just take my phone for a second and make sure I have this picture up so I can follow it. There we go. And I will show you the original photo so you can see. Okay. Oh. So can you see that okay? That's what the original photo was. So we're kind of going off that. And looking on here, it looks a little darker than what it is in person. So I'll see if I can't turn on another light, see if that helps. Nope, it's not turning on. Hold on for just a second. There. Turn that on. And this guy turned off on me, so come on. There we go. Okay. So, yeah, it's still kind of dark. Anyway, there we go. That's a little lighter. So that's the color I have from the picture. We can always change it. We can always change it up if we wanted, but I don't know. I might just call it safe and go with that color. So what I want to do, and if you've gotten the email, you have the list of different paint colors that we're using. Now these are the same, they're going to be the same paint colors we use for all 12 of the dogs. So I just want you to know that. This is the palette right here. We're using brown earth, pine green, carbon black, Naples yellow hue, colony blue, warm white, and rose pink. We're using these for all the dogs in the book. And with this one, I want to get kind of a golden color. So I think I'm going to use a mix of Naples yellow hue. And I'm going to start out with a wash. And I'm going to mix it with brown earth. So maybe we can get a little more of that golden color into the brown. Okay. And I'm going to use my round brush. I'm just using a number 3 round. Let's start out with a half and half, so or 1 to 1. So 1 part of the Naples yellow hue and 1 part of the brown earth. Yeah, that's kind of the color I'm looking for. lighter brown. I'm tempted to even add a little more Naples yellow hue, make it go a little more golden. Okay, so let's do 2 parts Naples yellow hue and 1 part brown earth. We get kind of a golden color. And if you know me, I do tend to mix my colors sometimes, but I always try to keep it simple so that, I don't lose you. I don't want you to be overwhelmed by it. Just remember 2 parts Naples yellow hue and 1 part brown earth. And the way you do it is you just take and do like a little chocolate chip. Okay, so that would be 1 part. And then try to match that chocolate chip. That would be 2 parts. And then try to match another chocolate chip, but this time it's the brown earth, and that would be 3 part. That would be the 1 part of the brown earth. Okay, so 2 parts Naples yellow hue with 1 part brown earth. Mix those together, and you get a nice golden color. Now we're going to rinse that or add some water to that. Wash it down. Wash it down really good. And if you feel like you need more of a golden color, you can always grab more of that Naples yellow hue and add it to it. So just play along until you feel like you got a nice golden light brown. Okay. All right. And then water it down so it's a milky consistency. When you think of like if you were to pour a tablespoon of milk on this palette, what would that consistency look like? That's what you want your paint to look like. Don't be afraid to water it down. Okay. Okay, we'll just go in and we're going to just do the whole thing, okay, with this color. So let's just do the whole thing. And we can always go in and do the darker colors later because this is our lightest color. So that's okay. We'll just fill in the whole area with this light golden brown. I have to say, I'm glad you're here today. Thank you for being here. Thanks for supporting our channel. We appreciate it. Okay, I just went in between the legs. I don't want to do that. There's a little open space there. So try to watch for that. And I just went right over it. So try to keep your paint in this area there. Okay. Don't do what I did. Okay. Now, some areas of your painting will be darker than others, and that's okay. You're going to have a little variegation. That's okay. We're using Josanya acrylic tubes. They're acrylic paint colors. They're similar to a watercolor gouache, but they are made with acrylic. Well, how do I say that? Made like acrylics, but they are similar to a watercolor gouache. Okay. So they have some transparency to them. You can water them down, or you can use them to paint opaquely. Okay, there's a little space in there between the ear and the cheek. So try to work around that. There we go. Okay, so you can tell my color is not super even. That is totally okay. But it's on there, and I've covered the whole dog. Brenda says there's no snow or ice, but it's cold. Well, stay warm, Brenda. Stay safe too. All of you that are in the cold areas. We will be giving a prize away today, so that prize will be a free e-pattern from our website. We'll be choosing a winner from the comments. So just FYI, that's coming later. Don't let me forget either. Sometimes I forget. Okay, so we're letting that dry. And then we're going to go in and darken some of the areas with the same paint color. And then we'll use some other colors too. So I particularly want to darken this area. We're going to even go darker than what we're doing here, but right in here in the inside area of this ear, let's darken this up. Okay. So you can put a second coat of the same color on there. And let's do a little bit. There is just a sliver over on this side that needs to be darker. Let's do that too. Right there. Just another coat. Okay. I think the rest will do with our color pencils, so I'm going to leave it. Let's pull out our carbon black and we'll get the nose and the eye area. And then we can start in with our color pencils after that. You only need a tiny little bit on your palette, just a little bit of this carbon black. This is the Joanne Fine Artist paint. Yummy colors. They have a big variety of colors. And they come in tubes, and then they have some larger tubes that they're a more opaque color. They're like background type colors. And those are called color trends. So those are fun colors too. All right, you want to make sure everything's dry before you bring in this black. So my nose is dry, my eyes are dry. That's what I want to do next. I'm watering down my black to an inky consistency, so it's going to be more like a dark gray. And we're just going to fill in the whole nose area with that dark gray. Get that all filled in. We are working on, just to kind of repeat myself, we are working on 140-pound cold press watercolor paper that has been etched with the design of a dog. And this is a lab mix that we're working on today. So fill in the whole area of the eye too. This is like the pupil and iris area. You can fill that in. It's just that round circle in his eye. Do both sides also with the watered down carbon black. This is paint by Joanne. And I always tell people, use what you have. If you don't have Joanne paints, use something that's comparable. I do highly recommend the Joanne paints. And if you stay with me long enough, you'll probably want to get them too. But I would like to just see you get started and not let anything step in the way of having some fun with your paint and your pencil. Okay. Okay, I'm going to be good with that. We're going to just start there. And that will be our base for our color pencils, where we'll go in and do some shading. Oh my word, Kim. Kim says they got about 18 inches of snow, no school for 2 days now. That's a lot of snow. My goodness. Can you open your door? That's what I was just thinking, like, that's a lot of snow. Oh my word. Okay, I'm letting this dry before I move into with color pencils. And in my email that I sent everyone, it has the list of all the colors you need. These are the colors I'll show you. We need a black pencil. We need a cool gray, 10%. We need sienna brown and a poppy red. So those are 4 pencils that you need for the projects in this dog book. They're Prismacolor Premier. They're very soft on the inside, and we'll be using those pencils throughout all, working on all the dogs in the book. So if you get that set, then you're good for the whole book. Okay, we're going to start out with the sienna brown. You want to make sure and sharpen it. Have a nice sharp point. And I have mine in a little extender here. These are great for holding your pencils if they get small and stubby and you want to still keep going with your pencil and you don't want to waste it. So we like to keep our pencils going. All right, I'm going to start out where the darkest areas are on this dog. Let's start out in this ear. I had already kind of done a little bit of darkening with the paint and it's dry now. So I'm going to just go in there and color that whole area with the sienna brown pencil. Let's just color it in and darken it up a little darker. We'll be layering some colors. When you do that, it's a wonderful thing because sometimes you can see the colors underneath and it creates some magic. I don't even know how to explain it. It just creates magic. Just believe me, it does. Okay, so now let's go over to this area of the ear and let's color that in too. I'm going to darken this area of the ear, go all the way to the bottom edge, just kind of line around there and just color it in with the same value, or the same pressure. Just kind of color that ear in. And there is a little space right here. We're going to try to keep that space fairly light. So as I come up the ear, I'm going to loosen up on my pressure. So I'm not using so much pressure on my pencil and let it just fade into the background there. And I'm leaving this little space lighter. I will kind of just soften the edges of it though. Let's just soften the edges. But you want it a little lighter there, okay? Now, we have this little line right here at the top. Do you see that? Let's shade on the left side of that line. And you don't need to shade out very far from there. So this is my darkest value, which is a little more pressure right up against the line. And then medium value, less pressure, and light value as I move out from the line. Like so, and just kind of let it fade. So if you're new to what I do, I use color pencils over paint, and then I also use paint over pencil. So we sandwich the pencils in between paint. We kind of go back and forth and get the best of both worlds, the best of the paint world, the best of the colored pencil world. It's great. It's a wonderful mix. So I also, when I do my shading with my pencils, I think in terms of three different values: dark, medium, and light. And I try to get those values to blend into each other and overlap each other so that it ends up looking like a soft shaded piece. Okay, so there's like a little loop here. We're going to darken the loop area. Just kind of go over it like so. And then I'm going to let it fade out from that loop. So darkest in the middle, and then let it fade. And then let's come down around the eye. We're going to shade around the eye. So all those areas that are around the eye, you can just start shading right up to the black of the eye. So I'm going to bring the shading down. There's like this line here. Let's go ahead and just fill all that in like so. And then you'll see that there's like this little area right here under the eye. Let me pull you in closer so you can see this. Okay. Okay, so there's this little area right here. I'm going to keep that light. So I'm going to shade underneath it. There. So it's darkest right up against that line and then lighter as I come down from there. But there's like a little, almost like a little loop in there. I'm going to leave that light. So I'm not going to shade that area. And then let's carry on with our shading. I'm going to go above that loop, right up to the eye. And just right in this area. It's just kind of like fill it in with color. And then you have like it's like an eyelid. Let's line that eyelid and shade up to the eyelid. So we leave a light eyelid right there above the eye. He's starting to get a little personality with the shading. Well, hi, Gloria from Florida. No way, Jackie. Good news. She said her power is just restored. Awesome. Just in time. Okay. All right. Now, we have some shading that goes up all the way to the cheek area here, or the edge of the ear. So let's bring that shading out all the way to the ear, and you can just kind of overlap that area into the ear. And going back up here, I'm going to line this little etching, or this little etch line. I'm going to line that. Okay. Okay, we're going to keep going on the left side of the face here. Now I'm going to bring the shading down and meet up where there's like a little wrinkle here in his skin. So we're going to bring that shading down, and it's the same value. It's like a medium value. You're just going to color that in till you get to the little wrinkle. If you're coming in later, this is step-by-step art. We are doing mixed media with paint and color pencils. Okay, now we're going to take our shading down farther. And there's kind of this little area right here, this little oval area. I'm going to fill that in with color also. It's the same value. It's like a medium value. Just fill that in. Or a medium pressure. And then we're going to shade. If you see, like, there's this line that goes around the nose. Okay, we're going to start our shading from there and move out from there until we almost come to that little wrinkle that we were working on. Okay. Kind of filling it in, but I'm going lighter and lighter with my values. So it's darker values right up against this line around the nose, and then less and less as I move towards those wrinkles. Okay. Now we're going to bring some of our shading down here. He's got kind of like a few little wrinkles going on in his neck, and I'm going to actually draw one in right there. So put a line in like so. Okay, so now we have some shading that's going to go from here down into this wrinkle, but we're doing the dark, medium, light shading here. So dark right up against this area and lighter as we pull out from there until it's just a feather touch. Our lightest value is a feather touch on the surface. Okay. So darkening right up against this little wrinkle and then fading as you move this way. Now we have like this kind of funny little, like, da, 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 da. It's just a little uh, curvy line here. I'm just going to fill that in with some color. It's a dark value. Just fill that in right there. And as you come down in this wrinkle, come down, lighten up your pressure as you come down from there. Okay. So we have his leg back, it's way back in the background back here, okay? And we do need to darken some areas of that leg. Most of it needs to be darkened right up against this area here. So I'm going to do some shading down from in between this ear and the cheek area, just kind of down from there. I'm using a medium value as I come down. I'm working over the texture of the paper and allowing myself to just go with it. Because sometimes the texture can mess people up. They think, oh my gosh, I don't know if this is right. Just let yourself go with it. Try not to fight it. Enjoy it. If you see some lighter spots, you can go in with your sharp pencil and kind of add color to those lighter spots to make the shading a little more even, but you will have some texture going on, and actually it's a really beautiful thing as you go along. It turns out to be really pretty and charming. I always say it's charming. Okay, so let's go down into the leg here, this back leg, and I'm still kind of coloring in. At this point, I'm just kind of using a medium to light value. Okay, but as I come down into the leg, I'm going to deepen my value. So I'm going to go back into the dark value. Keep turning your pencil so you can keep it sharp. Moving down into the foot area, and then you can lighten up again and let it just lighten up as you move into that foot. Okay, and then just let it fade into the foot. So it's darker right in this kind of lower part of the leg, and then lightens up as you get to the foot. All right. Now we have this, this color is going to continue. So I'm using the same kind of value, that light, medium, but I'm going to just end right where you see this line, end right there. So shade right up to it. It's just consistent. It's like just a medium light value. Keep it consistent and bring it down. My daughter, she does all these little loops and stuff in her designing. I think it's just incredibly cute. It's so cute and so creative. I love it. So those little touches, that's her personality coming out in her artwork, and I just love it. Okay. So we're working around. We're going to go down into this area, and then we'll finish up in there with this sienna brown, because the sienna brown is kind of all throughout this dog. So we'll do that. We'll just keep going with it. Okay. So I've got that shading. I met up with this line here. Now I'm going to bring the shading. Oops, I went out of bounds a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that. Make sure you have a clean eraser you can erase that with. Sometimes you'll go out of the lines. That's okay. You can work on erasing it. Okay, so bringing it down. And it's still like the medium light value. So it's kind of light right in here. And then I'm just going to let it fade just into the background that we've already established with the paint. Now, if you have a hard time getting that light value, you can always use your eraser to go in and do a little erasing into your color pencil work, just to lighten it up and blend it a little more. Use your eraser as a nice tool to help with that. Some of us are heavy-handed and maybe we go a little too strong. Just know you have that eraser that can help you. Okay, I'm going to skip down to where this area of the front of the leg is, and I'm going to line this. I'm just going to add that line there. And then let's go ahead and add this line too. And we're going to shade in this area, starting with this line. It's going to be our darkest line here. I'm trying to interpret some of this here. So actually, I think I'm going to bring it over a little more, but we'll start here. Okay, so darkest value right up against that line, and just kind of bring it over this other line. You can just work right over it like so. And you're going into your medium value and then your light value. Let it fade off as you move on down. And you can do this layering technique where you just keep kind of going over it. and you will see the texture. See that texture? That's great. Don't worry about that. It looks fantastic. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, so we're going to leave this kind of light right in this area here. This is light. Okay. Let's see here. So this is darkest right in here, this area. But we're going to bring the shading. There's actually kind of a light area right under in this area here. So I'm going to leave that light. But I'm going to bring the shading up and kind of into this chest area. Just go all the way across with kind of a medium light value. And then let it stop about right here. So you can keep this area down here light. Okay. So this neck area, there is this line that comes underneath the neck. Go ahead and line that because we're going to put some good shading under there. So we're going to start over here and kind of work down from that line area. So that's going to be our darkest value, a little more pressure in that area. And then less pressure as you move down from there. And let it fade. Okay, and I'm going to work in little sections. So I'm just going to kind of work in this little section here. Then I'll move over and do it again, but over in this area. So another little section, about a 1/2 inch section. Bring that shading down. Remember, more pressure up against the line, less pressure as you come down. And then you'll finish off with the last section. It's darkest up against that line. You're using a little more pressure, filling in the area. Use your layering. Light, medium pressure, and then light, and let it fade. Okay. And I'm going to bring this shading down to meet up with the shading I did before. Kind of like that. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad, Jackie, that you got that power back on. That is no fun. In our place, if our power goes out, we can't even take a shower because we are on a well. So that makes it tough sometimes. So, hey, if you are first time to our channel or you've been here before and you haven't liked our page, please do that. Please subscribe and like our page here and support us here on YouTube. It's not very hard to do. You just hit the like button and subscribe and then you'll get notifications as to when we're on. You know, we appreciate that. And I'll be on every week from now on, hopefully, unless something comes up, but I'll let you know. I'm going to try to be on weekly to just do a little project with you each week. And this is all paint and color pencil combined. All right. All right, so let's see. Let's finish up this area here and then we'll move up into the face. So we've got another kind of dark area over on this side of this line. There's another line over here. You can actually pencil in both of those lines. And we're going to shade out from this kind of long line there. We're going to shade out and over that second line. So it's darkest value up against that long line. And then as we come out, just let it fade into the background. And this is where it's kind of fun if you have a little variegation in your painted, um, the first, you know, base coat or the first watercolor wash that you put in there. If you have a little variegation, this kind of looks cool to have those little water spots there. Josana is great because it works so well as an opaque color and also watered down as a watercolor. So enjoy. It's been really so fun for me to explore this paint brand and enjoy all the different things that we can do with it. So I shaded out from that line. I used more pressure up against the line and then let it fade as I came out. And you can let it fade kind of fade that line up into the dog a little bit too on both sides. And then I'm going to leave this area light right here. Okay. So just let this color kind of fade down into that lighter area right here. Just let this color come down and fade. And if you keep layering it, you can kind of fill in some of those gaps, make it look a little more even. Although I really love the texture. So you're not trying to get rid of all the texture, you're just trying to enhance it, make it look a little more consistent. Okay, so I shaded under his neck here, I shaded down here. Let's go into this area below, like in his mouth area. Now we have this here. There's a line kind of right under his mouth. And then you have his mouth line. You can line those in. Just add those lines there. We're going to color in this mouth area. Just color it in with like a medium value. Right there. And then underneath the mouth, let's do a little bit of shading right up against the chin area and let it just kind of fade down into that lighter wrinkle, that little wrinkle there, like so. You want to still see that wrinkle. You don't want to totally cover it up. I think I might even erase a little of mine just so I can still see that there. This is a soft duster brush that I use to dust away my pencil crumbs. Okay. All right, now we're going to shade from the middle right here under the nose out this way. So I'm just going to start there. It's darkest value right up against the middle area. I always start in the darkest value. And then I go medium and then light value. Let the light value just fade right into the background. This guy is cute. He's like got his head cocked to the side. He's really cute. Okay, and then we'll do the same on the other side. So darkest value right up against the center there, and then medium value, and then light. Let it fade. Okay. Okay, I'm going to sharpen my pencil again. A little bit there. Okay, some of this area is lighter, and we will come in with our paint later and kind of accentuate the lightness later. Um, we do have this little loop up here above the nose. Let's go ahead and line that in a little bit. And on his nose, let's go ahead and add a little brown in there. Just at the top of the nose there. Let's just add a little brown. Most of it's going to be black, probably a touch of blue, but let's add some brown. It's always fun to add several different colors. And he's got a little indent right here, right above the nose, kind of where that loop is. So you're going to do your dark value right up against the nose, medium value as you come out from there, and then a light value as you come up from there. So dark, medium, and light right in there. We're establishing our shadows, and we'll go and reinforce it with black after we're done with this color. And then we'll highlight it with some paint. Okay, so we got that in. Let's move over here to the right side of the face. And there's this little corner right here. Now that is going to be dark right in there. And then let the color fade as you come up from that little nook. Let it fade into the background, but it's dark right down in that nook. Okay. So on our walk today, we saw so many ducks, so many, and we saw some geese. There were some geese that were circling around. There were probably about, I want to say 25 of them in the air, and they were all honking. It was really cool. And then they were flying around and they flew around in a circle, honking, honking, and another circle, honking, honking. And then they finally came down and rested in the field there. So I don't know, maybe they were just finding another place to stand. Because it seemed like they were in the field before. They just flew up, did a few circles, and then came back down. It was pretty fascinating to watch, though. Okay, now we're going to move up in this area, and we have some shadows kind of in this area underneath the eye. And it stops also against this line like we did on the other side. We had a line there. So that little wrinkle. So we're going to go up to the eye, and also we have another little area that we want to keep light. Do you see that? That little loopy area. So right under the eye, keep that area without any, leave the color pencil off of it. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of make this a little darker. Now on this ear, I'm going to fill in this area and make it dark. In this area that we were filling in with the paint, let's just go ahead and fill it in with this color. Nice dark value right in there. And you can also bring that down and just kind of line with the end of the ear. Okay, just a little more of our sienna brown on this guy. Our ear could be matching to the other ear. It does have a little more light on this side. So it is a little bit lighter, but not much. So let's go ahead and fill in our ear with like a medium value, just consistently over that light area of the ear, medium value. And then when you get up towards the top here, let's go to a light value. And then let it fade. Okay, we also have this little loop thing, and we're going to shade around the loop, kind of start in that middle area of the loop. That's going to be our darkest value. And then we'll shade out from there on all sides. So kind of like so, just like a little circle around that loop. Meet up to the top of the eye. We also have some shading around that eye. You know how we did on the other eye? We just kind of filled in, but we left some area for the eyelid. But everywhere else, we just kind of filled in around the eye. Like so. Now I want these two eyes to kind of match as far as the deepness of shading around it. So I'm going to put a little more shading on this other side, just match what I have over here. Okay. He's turning out cute, isn't he? Not a cutie pie. He also has some shading right here in the middle area of the forehead. I'm just going to add that. I'm going to start with my shading right in the center of the forehead there, and then let it fade out on the edges. So kind of like that. All right, I'm going to pull him out so you can see him better. And there we go. Maybe a little closer. Oh, he's turning out cute. I like him. What a cute friend. The next color we'll use is black, but I'm just going to take a break for a second and chat with you guys. Oh, you had Charmaine, you had knee surgery. Recouping from knee surgery, not sure how much I will get done. Oh, I hope you're okay. And Your knee surgery must have happened not long ago. Isn't the knee, let's see, isn't it the hips? What is it? The hips that's harder or the hips that's easier than a knee? I think the knee is harder and the hips are easier to recover from. Well, I hope you feel better soon, Charmaine. Hugs and love. Robin says it's been cold here, but nothing compared to what I would be getting if I were still in Illinois. Yes. Well, hi, Gloria from Florida. I'm sure you don't have snow in Florida, Gloria. We'd be all surprised if you did. Oh, Charmaine, it was yesterday. Oh, goodness. Just watch today. You don't need to do anything. You can just watch. Take it easy, girl. Take it easy. Okay, I want to show you guys, take a little break and show you guys what we are doing in our whimsy group. We are on the tail end of the last bit of projects from our whimsy group, and it's been so much fun. We are open for new registration for this year. We're finishing up last year's whimsy, and we still have a little bit of time. I'll tell you how much time we have. All righty, I have the dates here. So the last day to join our whimsy group for this year is February 7th. So if you're interested, just know February 7th is the deadline for the last day to join. Okay, so just FYI. So we did this one recently. This is our Moreland. Let me bring it up more. So this is Moreland Haven, the little fox that we did, because we were our whole whimsy group was centered around the Secret Garden, and we included the Secret Garden book in it. So I was inspired by things in the book, and so the Moors is part of the book, and it's like different parts of the year. It's green in the Moors, so that's what you see in the background is the Moors, and then there would be a fox, of course. And then the Secret Garden has lots of flowers in it. So anyway, that's where all that came from. And this is one of our latest projects. And then we just finished up last week a fairy project. And this one was really fun because we kind of all imagined what would be in our secret garden. And fairies was a big popular vote for what people would have in their secret garden. So we finished this one just this last week. And this is Fairy Florel, kind of inspired by Fairy Floral, but Florel. So she would be buzzing around in our secret garden, sending out sparkles of glitter to everywhere she passed by, because that's what she does now. She gets glitter everywhere. No, I just put a lot of glitter on her wings. Had fun. Love a little bit of sparkle. So this is Fairy Florel. We have two more projects. No, wait, we have one more project to go in this group to finish it up. And that is actually a secret garden door. It's called Hidden. Now I'm not going to remember what it hidden. I'm forgetting. Hidden door, hideaway door, not hidden, hideaway door. So hideaway door is our next project. We'll finish that up early February. And then we're going to be starting into the new Whimsy art subscription, which is Whimsy by the Sea. And we're basing it off The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen. So it should be really fun. It's kind of loosely based off of that. So kind of think nautical, mermaids, metallic colors. Think of things like that. It'll be fun. If you're interested in that, the last day you can join, the very last day, is Saturday, February 7th. If you want to join that, I have to close it because I have to be able to get all the projects and all the supplies and everything that I need for everyone. So we have to have a deadline on that one. Our VIP also closes Saturday, February 28th, so end of February for the VIP group, which is a whole different group. It's a digital group. The subscription group, the art subscription group, is actually an art box that comes to your door. It's mailed to you, and it's a physical art box that comes with all your supplies and projects and stuff, and it's really fun. You can learn more about it on our webpage at erikajoanne.com. So, yeah, those two things are coming. The doors are starting to close. They're starting to close. They will be closed soon. So Saturday, February 7th is the last day to join the Whimsy group, and Saturday, February 28th is the last day to join our VIP group. All right. So let's bring in the black pencil. I'm going to scoot him in closer for you again. Hi, Lisa. So yeah, glad to catch this one. Seems like I'm late. Oh, we're glad you're here, Lisa. It's good. Good, good. Okay. Oh, I'm catching up with all your comments, you guys. Okay. Looks like you're enjoying talking to each other. It's good. All right, so black pencil. Got our black pencil here. I'm going to sharpen that. And let's start at the top of our design. We'll start on the left side here. So with our black pencil, it's very pigmented, it's soft, a lot of color comes out of it, so you don't need to press too hard. And it really does cut through the other layers. Some reason the black is really good at that. So I'm gonna shade a little bit right above his eye. So let's line around his eye first. Okay, so there's this little line that goes kind of like that around his eye. And also, you'll probably pick up some pencil crumbs. You want to wipe those off with a soft brush. Okay, so there's a line right there above his eye. Okay, I'll put that in. Let's shade a little bit on this right side above the eye, just right here. So dark, medium, light, really fast, right in there. We're just going to enhance that shading. I'm going to bring a little more in, a little more, right in that area. Okay. Now we're going to go into our eye and we're going to shade the top left edge of the eye. Okay. The top left area of the eye. So it looks like that. You're deepening the color. Now you can lightly shade as you come down, and there's like a highlight dot right there. So we're actually not going to use that. I think I'm going to put the dot at the top, so you can just go right over it. Okay. So kind of like that. It's a little darker on the left side. Okay, now we're going to take and just line above that little highlight. Just add a little line there. Okay, and then go ahead and lightly shade inside the kind of like, it would be like the whites of our eyes, but they don't have the whites of the eyes there. Just a little bit of shading in there. And then go ahead and line that area under the eye. And also underneath the highlight area, just a little line there too. Okay. I brought the shading up a little bit on this right side, just a little bit. Okay. Now, on the left side of the eye, kind of right in this area, just add a little bit. We're just going to be doing little pockets of shading. So there's just a little bit here. I'm using my light value just to add a layer right in that area. And then there's a little bit of shading that comes down from the eye. And I'm just going to do kind of like little lines, light lines that come down and meet up with this little wrinkle. Okay, so just bring some darkness down right into that area. Okay. Right. So that eye area is pretty much done as far as pencils are concerned. Now we'll go into this left ear and I'm going to darken right up against the head. Okay, so kind of into the ear, we're going to darken that area. Let's go ahead and kind of line right around that ear area and bring that line down like so. And we're going to go ahead and put a light layer of black in there, and it's going to be darkest right up against the head and then fade as we go into that section of the ear. But we are going to cover that whole area of the ear, that whole section, but darkest up against the head. Okay. Okay, now this ear area doesn't have too much shading in it, but it does have a little bit of black we're going to add. So let's bring that lining down to the tip of the ear, and I just want you to darken it right at the tip. Oh, okay. Hold on. Hold on, I gotta get the door. Isaiah, come here. No, you're. Oh, I'm on YouTube. Oh. But yeah, Dale wasn't home, so that's why I have forgotten that he wasn't home. So. Okay, so that was our nephew. He's staying with us. So okay, so I got the shading done right up against the edge there. Oh, I just love that look. That looks so cool. Okay, so then I put this down here, just like dark at the tip of the ear. And then we're going to add a little bit, like just don't overkill it here, just a little bit of the black right in this area of the ear to kind of make it feel like that ear is bending a little bit. Okay, so you're just adding a little bit of light shading, light value, guys, just light value right in there. How's everyone doing? It's Valerie. She says, I thought today was Monday, been snowed in too long. I know you probably lose the track of time. Oh my goodness. And Verdi says it's cloudy and cold in North Oregon. Okay, now we're gonna move down this side of the little guy here. I'm gonna put some shading right up against this wrinkle. So it's darker up against the wrinkle and then fades as I move out from there. So you're bringing more personality into this dog by adding the dark. This contrast just makes all the difference. I'm telling you guys, it's amazing when you add contrast. Okay. I'm going to go back up into this area. I'm just kind of looking at it and I feel like I need to extend the shading out towards the left a little more. There we go. Okay, and I did that shading. So, and this is fairly light right here, but this is dark right in this area here. It's right on the top of the neck. So you're gonna connect that with the ear and then bring that shading down a little bit there, like so. Okay, and then this is the back leg. You can see the contrast between the ear and the back leg. It's beautiful. Love it. Okay, but our back leg does have some shading right in this area right here. So we're going to actually add a line on the right side of our leg there. And we're going to shade to the left. So start at the right, that's your darkest value, and then move it towards the left. Okay, so you have some shading on the lower area of that leg, and that shading is pretty significant. Like it's pretty dark there. So we got some contrast going on. Okay, and then we'll leave it. No, we'll bring the shading down here to kind of separate the foot from this part of the leg here. But the rest is gonna be fairly light. We could put some shading in between the toes. How about we do that? We are gonna lighten up these toes with some paint. So, but let's just add a little bit of color there in between the toes. I've just lined those little etched lines and then shaded a little bit around those etched lines. So you can see those toes better. Thank you, Brenda. Okay. So we're moving into this area, this front area of a mixed lab. And we're going to put a little bit of shading right here. Right up against this light area, just a little bit there. Okay. We don't have a ton, but there is a little bit of shading right in this area here. So where that little hook is right there? That's where I'm starting kind of my shading area is going to be right over that little hook area right in there. Just kind of enhance that shading. But as you notice, I don't completely cover the brown shading that I did before. Just enhancing it. That's looking really good. So you can tell there's some stuff going on there. There's some dips and yeah, that contrast really helps. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on this side. A little bit of shading there where that little hook thing comes up. And so it's darkest right against this line. And then use your pressure. Go lighter and lighter with your pressure. Lighter and lighter. Okay. So we have this wrinkle again right under his chin, that cute little wrinkle. Let's line up against that wrinkle all the way around like that. Put that line in with the black pencil. And then you're going to shade down from there, just like you did with your sienna brown pencil, but you're not going to go as far with your black. So let it lighten up faster. You're just going to come down maybe like, maybe a half inch or so, all the way around that wrinkle. But it should be darkest right up against the wrinkle. Again, creating that contrast. It helps you see sections of the dog much easier when you create contrast. Okay, now we'll move up into the mouth area. Now the mouth area is actually kind of black, so we're going to do the same thing. Line these etch lines around the mouth, bring it all the way to the side, meet up with the cheek. Birdie, he does with that little tilt of his head. He probably is like totally getting it. He's like, "Yep, you're done." Yep, a little shading here, a little shading there. Okay, so we have let's bring the shading down into this little area here, underneath that wrinkle. Just a little bit of shading underneath, all the way to the mouth. We're not doing it. We're not totally overtaking that area because we want to see some of the brown, but we're going to enhance what we got going there. It's darkest right in that little nook of the mouth. Okay, I'm going to bring this shading down right in this area a little bit farther. Okay, and then we'll bring in the shading. Let's line around our nose. Let's do that. Line around the nose. Okay, and then we're going to shade. This area is fairly dark right at the bottom there by his nose. Be kind of like his lips. Right in this area. It's pretty dark, but it fades. It fades pretty quickly too. So right in here. Okay. And then above his nose, let's add a little bit of shading in this little area above his nose. Right there. Okay. And then we can get his nose. We can go ahead and color it. Let's start by coloring in his nostrils. So go ahead and line those nostrils like that, and then color them in. It's going to be your darkest area for sure. Color that in. And then we'll go at the bottom of his nose. Go ahead from the bottom, bring some shading up into the middle area of his nose. Kind of like that. You still see some of that gray going on right there. You don't want to totally cover that up. Okay. And then bring the shading up And then where there's like a line right in the middle, across the nose right there, you're going to bring your shading up to there. And you can deepen the shading as you get closer to that line. Okay. And then just a little past the line, you can shade a little bit more, but that's about it. I would leave it. We'll add some other colors there. I am going to shade a little bit on the left side there. Just right here. Okay. A little bit more. We got some more right here on the right side. Let's start up at the ear. This area right in the ear, we had shaded with the brown before. We're going to kind of reinforce that line around the cheek and shade kind of into the ear. This is like the inside of the ear, basically. There we go. And dark right up against the cheek. Okay, now let's do the eye on this side. Okay, so we had some shading. Let's go into the eye itself. And we had some shading just like we did on the other side, a little bit on the left side of the eye, and then down kind of towards the bottom of the eye. And then let's go ahead and line above the eye. You've got this line that kind of comes over the eye like that. And then also a little line above the highlight or the eyelid. Put that in too. And you've got a little line underneath the little highlight on his eye. So you can fill in some shading right underneath that highlight, a little bit around the eye itself. And we'll add some more on the left side here. Bring that up into this little loop area. A little bit of shading up in there. And then also follow around the eye like so. I'm going to bring some coming down from that area of the eye like I did on the other side. A little bit coming down. Okay. And then just a touch right in the middle of his forehead. Excuse me. Okay, that is it for the black, I think. Just want to make sure. Might go ahead and add a little black line right here. And around the tip of his ear on this side. I think that's good. we're getting into a little bit of realism with this. And I could take you really into realism, but I won't. We'll keep it simple. Because these are meant to be just quicker projects, right? So, okay, so we're going to kind of finish off with a little bit of paint to add some highlights. Not only highlights to the dog itself, but highlights to his eyes and his nose. Let's use some. Gotta think here what I want to use first. Let's use the Colony Blue, and we'll put some highlights in his eyes and a little bit on the top of his nose. So Colony Blue, you don't need very much. And I'm going to actually water it down just a little bit. So like just a touch. Kind of a medium wash. Not as transparent as we did with the brown. And we're going to put a little touch of blue in the eyes, like so, on the right side, kind of right upper hand, right side area of both eyes, like that. Okay. And then we're going to do a little bit on his nose. I'm going to do the same kind of the upper right hand area of his nose there. Just like so, not a lot. And then we'll take our Naples yellow hue and a little bit of warm white. So we're going to mix those two 1-to-1. We've got Naples yellow hue and warm white, 1-to-1. So I'll show you here. So I put 1-to-1 on here. I'm doing a little brush mix. I'm going to add a little more. So I have like a light yellow. Go ahead and take some of that paint off your brush onto your paper towel so you have a hint of paint on your brush. And we're going to add a few little highlights. We'll start, let's see here. We'll start around the nose. So we're going to do some little strokes around the nose. I'm working on the left side, like kind of the upper left side right here. That's where it's going to be brightest. And then I want it to fade as I come down into that darker area. So I'm going to bring it around and just pull up my brush as I bring it over into the shaded area so it fades. And I'll do the same underneath that little line. So it's going to be down here too, on this kind of this lower area of the mouth. So you got a little bit of contrast going on. Again, you got really that dark and then the light right up against each other. That is what you're looking for. And then bring that color down and let it fade into your shading. So the way you do that is you just use light pressure on your brush. And if you don't have too much moisture in your brush, it will work a little better for you. You're just pulling that color over that area and then kind of into the shading a little bit. Okay, we're going to do the same on the other side. We're going to work. The brightness is going to be kind of up in that 1 o'clock area around the nose, and then come down and fade into the shading you have under the nose. Let it fade. Light pressure on your brush. And the paint should not be too watered down. It's almost like dry paint. It's just lightly fading into the shading. Okay. I'm going to bring some of that highlight up the left side of the nose, kind of like onto the bridge. So I'm bringing that light area up into the bridge of the nose on the right side of the nose. Now, my color is starting to dry out because there's not a lot of wetness there. Most of my moisture is on my brush. I do put a little moisture on my brush. I wet it down and then go to my puddle here. But then I always take out the excess moisture on my paper towel because I really don't want to work with too much moisture when I'm doing this. But I'm probably going to have to mix a little more paint because it's starting to dry out. So I got to add some more. I've been using it. Okay. We have a little highlight up in this area. Oops. Right kind of above the eye in this area. You can put a highlight right between, kind of following the ear down. So kind of between the dark shading and the lighter shading. Just a brighter highlight right in there. And you can just stroke that in. If you need to use a smaller brush, you could do that. And then the same on the other side. You can just add a nice little highlight on the right side going down the ear. I wanted to say nose, but it's the ear. It's the ear. Okay. I'm going to add a little more of that up here. Okay. And then the top of the head. Let's get that a little lighter up here at the top of the head. Okay. Now I'm going down into the legs here. There is a little bit right up against the ear. It's on the top of the leg there, but underneath the ear. Little highlight there. And then skip over to where this section is that's lighter. We're going to just kind of fill some of that in. You can let it kind of bleed over the line a little bit so it's not so harsh. Kind of soften that a little bit. And then down into his foot, he's got these cute little toes that we want to add. Let's highlight those toes. Okay. He has a little bit of highlight on this little wrinkle down here. You can put some down there too. Just soft little strokes. And then down in this section between his legs, or his kind of like his chest area. And I'm just stroking the color up into the shading a little bit. I don't have a lot of moisture in my brush. There's a little bit of moisture in my brush. This is what I call damp dry brushing. It's similar to dry brushing, but we use a little bit of moisture. So it's not total dry brushing. So I'm adding some color there and some here on the right side. Let that fade into your shading. A few more spots around the eyes and we'll be done with this color. So you have this, little highlight on his eyelid. You can kind of accentuate that. And below his eye. If you need to add some moisture to your brush, just add the tip of your brush into the water and then over back into your puddle. So I'm going to accentuate some of these wrinkles around his eyes. There's one right here. There's one, underneath his eye and above. There we go. Just wanted that one there. And same on the other side. We've got a little bit underneath the eye and above the eye. Okay. I'm bringing this one down just a little farther, both sides. Okay, let's just use warm white and add a few little highlights to finish it off. So we just have warm white in our brush. I've taken most of the paint off on my paper towel. So I have a hint of warm white. We're going to go back around the nose. Let's add another layer of highlighting. Oops, got a little puddle of water. So get that dry here. Okay, so just warm white, you're stroking, you're kind of repeating your highlight there, just accentuating it. It's more so on the right side though, a little more over here. Okay, a little bit right here on that shoulder. I'm going to put a little bit in his eyelid. Okay, really not a whole lot, just those few areas. And a little bit in his eyes. Let's do that. So little highlight up here and here. Okay. He sure is cute. Also a little on his nose. I think he needs a little highlight on his nose. Let's work mostly on the right side here. Just a few little strokes there. Okay. Right, I think he's done. Mr. Lovable Lab. He's done. All right, so what you can do with this guy is you could glue him. Let's see. This is my piece. This is my piece. So you could glue him to the back of this other guy right here. You could do that. So you have one on each side. Or, like I said, you do have a panel on the back of your book. Let's see. Let's bring this back out. So you have a panel in the back of your book. It's also 4x4, so it fits the piece perfectly. You could do that too. And then you could glue another one this side. You might as well make use of all the surfaces, right? And then if you varnish them really good, then they'll be fine for, like flipping over on your easel. You can always flip it over. As long as it's varnished, it will be nice and protected. So you can do that too. And that all comes in your kit. This little panel is the back piece of your book. It tears away and kind of breaks away. And then you can use it as a surface to glue your piece to also. These are 4x4, so they are universal in size, and you can also get a frame and just frame them. Have fun. You guys, I really want to see what you do. So if you aren't familiar, we have a Paint and Pencil with Us group page on Facebook. So if you go to Facebook and look up Paint and Pencil with Us, you'll find our group page. It's free to join, doesn't cost anything. It's really fun to be part of the group, and you could share your ideas of what you've done to mount your dogs, and people would love it. People love to see what other people do. We've seen where people make cards out of these kind of things. They also make garlands. It's pretty neat to see what other people do and how they decorate their blocks and all that fun stuff. And you have some fun community there too. So Paint and Pencil with Us group page on Facebook. You can go join and we'll let you in and you can share what you've done. So, well, we are at the end of our video. So I'm going to get off, but I think I'll go ahead and glue this on my panel today. And then next week, I'll show you what it looks like. So, but if you want to know how to glue, go back to number 1 video, which is this guy, the golden retriever. Go to that one, and it takes you step by step through the gluing process of gluing your piece to wood and how to do that, and all the prepping and stuff like that. We do have some mediums that you can use to help keep your artwork nice so it lasts for the years to come. So I hope you enjoyed your time here today. I sure had fun with you, and we will be back on next Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time to try our hand at another dog. The next dog is a corgi mix. Again, all these dogs are mixes, and because they all come from the shelter. So shelter dogs, and the next one's going to be a corgi mix. I'm excited about that one. So join me next Tuesday. Set your alarms. I will see you next time. Ta-ta for now.